This is Mark Bell from Super Training Gym. Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. This was a very special day at Super Training Gym in West Sacramento, California. We had our boy, Stan Efferding, along with Steve Bake. Steve Bake has a couple of his workout partners with him during this workout that he did. For those of you that don't know, I'm not really sure why people don't know who Steve Bake is, but he is an absolute monster. Insanely strong. He also has really great conditioning. It'd actually be interesting to see how he would do in some strongman competition type stuff, because the guy has done like burpees for like a mile. He just does all these crazy things that you would think that someone that weighs like 350 or whatever it is that he weighs would never do. But a 635 pound bench press that's also bookend with a 935 pound squat and an 881 pound deadlift. It is really rare in powerlifting for people to be able to do a 900 pound squat, a 900 pound deadlift, and a 600 pound bench. Really absolutely remarkable. And he's one of the very few that is starting to have a total that is that high. The only other person I can think of that he would be chasing would be like Daniel Bell, who has the all-time world record for raw powerlifting, and it's just Daniel Bell's done like 2,600 something. So Daniel Bell is a monster, and he's the one who kind of sets the tone for the super heavyweights. But anyway, we had Steve Bake in, and we had him on the podcast. Had an opportunity to get to know him, and to see him lift was really just something special. You know, we get so many different athletes in the gym, and it's interesting to see, you know, their interpretations of fitness and their interpretations of strength. And Steve Bake is a guy who just simply does this by going to work every single day and just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. He's a farmer, and he kind of has that lunch pail, type of mentality where he's going to be there every day, and he's going to be there on time. He's going to be busting his ass every single time. And it's cool to see, our buddy Stan Efferding, take some of these people under his wing and try to help and assist and coach and train with them. There is Andre Milanichev, who works here at Super Training Gym. For those people that are unaware, Andre helps to coach some people there. His girlfriend Yana as well. Andre is still learning English, so teaching people sometimes can be challenging, but Yana does a lot of interpretation for him, and then that way people can kind of understand exactly what Andre is referencing. But an interesting thing when it comes to lifting weights is that you just kind of point and you just kind of show, and then people end up understanding what you're doing. Stan's technique is interesting. Looking down at the ground, notice how that head was neutral the whole time. So I think that people think looking down is like wrong, but Stan is a kind of hip dominant squatter. Stan does not have gigantic quads. And so Stan is pushing his hips back and leaning forward for the squat, whereas Steve Bake is using more of his quads and his belly. Steve Bake is a huge individual. Stan has a small waist. And Stan basically for the squat has to rely on his back. Stan has a tremendously strong back. Stan in his prime deadlifted, I think, about 854. And Stan Efferding, to watch these two guys work out together, Stan is a legend in powerlifting, one of the all-time greats. He didn't have a very long run in powerlifting, but he did squat over 800, he did deadlift over 800, and he benched 600. And to do that at a 275-pound weight class and also the 308-pound weight class is really completely unbelievable. But Stan would always get knocked for his form, and I think that people don't understand the style and the technique that he utilizes. He kind of is utilizing a specific style and technique that best serves him. And that's exactly what you want to find out there. Those of you guys that are trying to fix your squat and trying to fix this and fix that, ultimately it has to be a combination of what you've heard, what you've seen, and what you know, obviously, and then also interpreted for your own body. Maybe you have longer legs. Maybe you have shorter legs. Maybe you have a longer torso. Maybe you have a shorter torso. Maybe your strength is more in your upper body and not so much your lower body. So you'll have to figure out, how do I still squat a lot if most of my strength is in my upper body? So for each individual, it's much different. Here's Steve Bake with 605. Don't blink. It's going to be over quick. A lot of times people ask questions about depth, and you actually see a great example here of some chain suspended good mornings. One of my favorite exercises, chain suspended good mornings and floor presses, I think are two things that I utilized in my powerlifting career that really, really helped a lot. And the chain suspended good mornings, not only helping the squat, but also helping the deadlift. There's Rhino, who's like 53 or 54 years old, still hitting those big weights, still a fan of hitting, singles and doubles in training. But you might see some of these squats and you might say, well, these guys aren't, this sucks, man. They're not hitting parallel. A lot of lifters don't really care. Like me personally, I never cared about whether I was hitting depth or not. What I did care about is the feel of the weight and the timing of the weight. And Steve, during the training session, he even mentioned several times, he's like, I think that one was a little bit high. So he's not like taking these lifts and trying to get credit for them and trying to take them to the bank. In our training sessions, we just do the best we can. And you can see Andre wrapping the knees. Sometimes the knees being wrapped so tight, it makes it challenging to get really good depth. Here's Steve with 695. And he just absolutely annihilates that and smokes that. I've always liked to squat a lot of the way that Steve's squatting in this video. I like to, and Andre's talking about the depth there. He wants to see him get down, a little bit lower. But we also have an understanding that, you have to do it correctly in the competition. So if you are going to be concerned about depth at all, it's in the competition itself, and it's leading up to the competition. Steve Bake at this time, when he came to us, he was far out from competing, so it wasn't as much of a concern. But sometimes those knee wraps get on there so tight that it does make it challenging to get proper depth. So it could be really tough. You can see Stan Efferding and one of the coaches that Stan brought with him from Cincinnati that we also had on the podcast. And you can see these guys are repping out some deadlifts. Looks like Stan is trying to tap into the hammies maybe a little bit more, leaning forward a little bit more. It's just amazing to see the shape that the Rhino stays in. Stan was a professional bodybuilder, and so it's obvious that he doesn't have any issue with staying in shape. But Stan is he's successful. He's been around for a long time, and you would think, like, somebody that's successful like that, they might as well ease up a little bit on the nutrition. Why be so strict with it? But Stan has found a diet that works really well for him. The food digests really well. Here's 805 pounds. Holy fuck. And just annihilates it again. You're just kind of like, where's the upper limit for this guy? Is this guy going to be able to squat 1,000 pounds? Because that looked really easy too. But Stan found, a diet, the vertical diet, which I think you guys should check out. He's got really great information in his book, The Vertical Diet. But Stan has found a diet that works really well for him, but the foods, he always says that he wants to eat things that agree with him. He wants to eat things that are going to help move him forward. He doesn't want to, as much as he would like to eat ice cream, he likes ice cream, but ice cream doesn't like him. It's the way that he looks at it, because then it just builds his stomach up with gas and all kinds of other things. And he's just like, I don't want to have that. So while he may do that on occasion, just like many of us, it's very, very, very rare. What a great exercise this is. A safety squat bar, 45-degree back raise. You can imagine how challenging that is. 875 pounds. I believe this is where Steve Bake parks it for the day. 875-pound squat. Look at driving the knees out, keeping that upright posture. And again, another very easy squat. I believe on this day, too, he was... I think he was a little banged up. Oh, he's going heavier. Going up over 900 pounds. I believe he was a little banged up on this day. So I'm not trying to make a bunch of excuses on why his depth isn't like pristine. But again, as powerlifters, we worried about depth when we are actually in a competition and not so much in training. 925 heavy ass pounds. Another easily, he handles the weight very easy, and now it's a matter of like him dialing in and getting the timing down so he could take that style of lift to a meet. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. I hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you guys later. Bye.